up, virtual people? Welcome to episode 16 of Fandom Spotlite's VCR Redux, where we take your favorite franchises out of the analog era and bring them back to 2021. I'm your host, pop culture punk Chris Stiles, joined as always by my co-host with the most, film professor Ian Klink.
How you doing, everybody?
And we have two radical guests on the show tonight. First up, the Slayer of Six Strings. Oh, Mickey, you're so fine, you blow my mind. Mickey Torres is on the show tonight.
What's up, everyone?
And joining him for this airborne event, a very special guest you may know as the Governor. Not that one, but the Governor from The Governor Reacts to The Walking Dead. Fandom Spotlight founder Kyle Williamson is on the show.
Yay!
We are here to take to the skies and jive with the guys. That's right. We're talking about the Airplane franchise. Now, surely this isn't the kind of sequel that you just rush right into. So
yes, it is. And don't call me Shirley.
Yes, I'm so glad someone picked that up. So, as always, we start with how it came into our lives and what we love about it. So, Airplane, what, where, when, why, and how did it happen to you? We'll start with Kyle, but that also goes for you guys watching at home. Hit us up with your Airplane stories in the live chat. Kyle, do you remember your first time?
Actually, I don't think they can. Now they can hear me. I was on mute. Okay. So I was over Macho. No, I'll never be over Macho Grande.
So you were under
I was
Macho
under
Grande.
Macho Grande.
Wait, Unger or over? Was it done?
Unger, overdone. It's overdone. But anyway,
Roger. What?
So I ended up, I think, watching it on VHS. You know, probably rented it. I did not see it in the theaters. My parents didn't allow me to see stuff like that, except Spaceballs, which was last week and I wasn't there. But
We're there in spirit.
I was definitely, my Schwartz was in you. Wait, that
Your
didn't sound
Schwartz was as big as I've ever seen.
But yeah, and I've loved those things. I just recently introduced my girlfriend, who is much younger. Thank you very much. And she loves the movies too. So, you know, so we don't have to break up. So it's good.
Wise choice.
You know, it's interesting. I must comment on this, and I think everybody at home will understand this. Isn't that as a movie fan and lover, isn't that the hardest thing when you develop a relationship? Oh. If you show that one movie that you just love and they hate it, it's hard to bounce back from that.
In there, man.
I mean, I'm okay if it's not like a horror movie. I mean, if it's a horror movie, I can kind of accept it. I'm like, hey, everybody's taste is different. But if I'm like, this is the best like rom-com ever, and they totally hate it, they're like, they look at me and they're like, well, why do you like this piece of shit? And I gotta question my whole feelings on life itself.
Well, she wasn't she wasn't impressed by Goonies.
Oh.
You know, but in her defense, we grew up with Goonies. We were kids when we watched Goonies, more than likely. And so we could relate to the kids. She's watching it as an adult, and she's finding it harder to relate to the kids, you know.
Stranger Things is probably closer to Goonies for her.
Probably nowadays, yeah. I just love that Mickey's basing his relationships on Runaway Bride. I just love that.
Runaway Bride. Hope floats, baby, but not Runaway Bride.
Home fries. There you go. That's the picker winner right there.
I've been heartbroken by girls not liking certain movies that, in retrospect, I probably should have never expected girls to like. But so it's left me in this weird place where I literally have like the pop culture punk starter pack of movies where there's like probably like 20 or 30 like rom-com, like kind of cute-ish movies that I really love. And I think like when that runs out, like every relationship I'm in is like over. Like it's when I watch all those movies with a girl, then the relationship has run its course and that's the end. So it's weird. But at any rate, back to Airplane. Luckily, this is one that I never had to watch with any, I never had to seek approval for. It's just been universally loved everywhere I go. So
there you go. Yeah, I saw this on HBO. This is, I mean, like Airplane 1 and 2, I saw on HBO.
I'm just trying to do that whole entry for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because it just was one of those things. Like, I mean, like my mom was never into movies. Like, so like, I'm an only child, single parent. So like, there was no really like, like I found movies on my own. So it was like, basically like, she wasn't like, oh, this is a cool movie. Like it just never happened. So like, and I didn't really like pay attention a lot to like, movie trailers, commercials. I kind of feel like they weren't as prevalent then as they are now.
Mhm.
But so I just found things on HBO. That was like that was my movie theater, was HBO.
I could definitely relate. And I feel like it's a story I may have heard from you once or twice before.
Yeah.
About HBO, because we pretty much have that in common.
We're
Ian,
the
do you remember
HBO.
your first-
Yeah, no, we're the HBO generation. So I remember seeing it. Same thing. I saw Airplane on HBO, and but I would also probably say the reason I watched Airplane, because history lesson here, because that's what I always do. The Airplane movies are basically making fun of a great franchise called Airport, which is Universal's disaster movie with George Kennedy, and it was always like an all-star cast, right? So you have I think there's one with Jimmy Stewart, there's one with Rock Hudson, there's all Airport, Concord Airport 79, all these kind of movies. So there's a history lesson of what Airplane is literally making fun of. But I watched it because that's the guy from Naked Gun. The Naked
Leslie
Gun
Nielsen,
guy is in this movie, so this must be good. So I feel bad. It's only later in the years you really catch all the jokes, because then that's when I watched Airport and Airport 78 and all these movies. But what I do remember the most is going from watching that and then going to Iowa City at a great, now long gone video store called Slagle's TV and Rentals. And so the front part was a TV store, repair, all stuff, but in the back is where they had the rows of VHSs. And I remember looking and seeing that there was a sequel, and it was a great VHS box of Airplane II, the sequel, with all the two planes interlooped with each other.
Yeah.
So I remember picking that up immediately, thinking, "Oh my gosh, there's more Airplane. There's more to it. Oh, this is the greatest thing ever." So
Now, technically, when a movie is called Airplane II: the sequel, the sequel is technically the subtitle of the film, right? Isn't that the correct term?
yes, you're right. It would be Airplane II: the sequel. Yes.
What I would just like to know, wait, Ian, you went into the back of the video store. Are you sure you weren't looking for that little curtained off room?
No, sir. No.
Airplane,
It wasn't-
the porn parody.
I don't think they even had the section at that I remember. I just remember
not that time. Well,
I
at
just
least, like,
remember
those
that
repair
is-
places.
Well, that's the store that I discovered this idea of sequels, right? Because I also remember this is the same VHS store that had all the Jaws movies next to each other and all the Meatballs next to each other. So I started realizing there's more than just the first movie. And of course, the best thing ever, Bloodsport. All 1900 of Bloodsports were all in a row. I mean, that's how I remember.
You chicken
Blood
cheese.
Fist.
That's right. But that that little airplane twisting together. That's what I remember.
It is one of the
not
great
airplanes
VHS
twisting together.
one of the great VHS artworks for sure, and in my opinion, one of the best subtitles of any film. So there is some combo in the chat. Whiskey 4_4_1.
That's
says,
Alex.
please don't. Oh, that's Alex. Oh, Alex Bonafonte. Oh, okay. What's up, Alex?
He's on Twitch because, our fiasco last week with YouTube.
Alex,
he's not taking a chance, so
we are honored.
There you go.
Yeah.
My man.
VCR Redux, my man.
I
Alex.
refuse for this show to go out. This is how you do it.
And our sincere apologies to everyone who got cut short last week. Hopefully, that's just a one-time glitch for us. But at any rate, Alex,
I don't apologize. It happens.
Ian trolled us. He made it happen. At any rate, Alex says, please don't remind me about what happened over Macho Grande. I'm haunted by it.
I'll never be
Also,
over
Angie,
Macho Grande.
Angie Saunders is also in the chat. Her and her husband Mike are these great movie poster mashup duos. Angie says, my dad and I watched it together. Your dad is a good man.
And I want to say to Angie, usually I chat with her a little bit while you guys are talking because I'm usually in the back end. But,
yes.
So I can't really chat with you because I'm in this. So next week, you know.
Next week is going to be a special episode too.
He's all ours.
I'm not invited, so.
Also, my good friend and another mashup artist himself, genius, Anthony Ramirez says, childhood favorite, didn't get the best joke of all time until I was 30. I have a drinking problem. This is so good. You know, I always say about these movies that comedy with a straight face is the key.
Yes.
You know, to all this stuff, and that's why you have Lloyd Bridges and Leslie Nielsen and these guys. Like, they weren't known for comedy before this. You know,
Robert Stack.
Yeah, Robert Stack. Oh God, incredible. Shatner. You know, Shatner. I don't think it only done like the most serious of stuff until Airplane 2, Airplane II, the sequel.
Well, that's
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but that's honestly the genius of casting Leslie Nielsen. I mean, you know, it's funny because, you know, a lot of us come to this post there's BC Leslie Nielsen, and then there's AD Leslie Nielsen, right? There's before Airplane, there's after Airplane. We all know him after Airplane. But if you look at his history, I mean, this is the studio actor who was picked as the lead for Forbidden Planet. This was the hero. This was, Project Kill, which is a great TV spy movie if you ever get a chance to see it, and nobody has, but it's public domain, so enjoy. It's on YouTube.
Nice.
But you know, that's what the genius casting, and and everybody thinks now, oh, of course you would put Leslie Nielsen in a movie like this. No, this made Leslie Nielsen. You know, he was just, before this he was, the guy you would hire for, $20 to work one day on your movie, and it would sell overseas because, prom night. That's why Leslie Nielsen's in it.
This is the first Leslie, I actually started with Leslie Nielsen.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
okay. I saw this before I ever saw Naked Gun. Police Squad I saw after Naked Gun because I didn't even realize when I saw Naked Gun.
Right.
I thought it was funny, and then I kind of then it was like, oh, this is based off the Police Squad. So then I went there, and I was like, oh, well, this is basically the movie. But so this was my first introduction to Leslie Nielsen. So I didn't know, that he was a serious actor before, but the way he actually played this was serious, anyways.
Yeah. Well, there's a great story I was just listening to about how, if you ever seen this great movie with Barbara Streisand, it's called Nuts. And it was a very serious, dramatic movie in 1989, where she's on trial to defend herself, whether she is clinically insane and should stand trial. Well, they cast the one who does harm against her. They cast Leslie Nielsen. And the whole reason they cast Leslie Nielsen was because of this, because everybody was making, he was doing all these comedy movies. And it backfired because every time Leslie Nielsen said a serious line, all the audience just started laughing.
Oh.
And it's and it's a very serious movie. He literally is attacking and choking her. The audiences were laughing. That's
the Ed O'Neill effect. Once they get used to you being a certain way. I can't remember what movie it was, but he was cast in a dramatic film. They did a test screening, and as soon as he walked in to frame, the audience started laughing. And he's like, I knew I had to cut him out and recast it right then and there. And it's not his fault. It's because Al Bundy walked in.
That was the same thing. Yeah.
But
yeah. It just
no.
No, ma'am.
Just picture him shrugging his shoulders and moping his way through. But there is some more love in the chat right now. Again, Alex says, over Roger that. And the one that got away introduced me to John Hughes' early work. Also, Anthony Ramirez actually saw Kentucky Fried Movie first. My parents didn't watch anything. So a little explanation here for those who might not understand the connection. Airplane and Naked Gun are from the genius trio of Zucker, Abrams, and Zucker. And they also got started in a little group called Kentucky Fried Theater. John Landis convinced them to turn a bunch of those into a movie, Kentucky Fried Movie, and that was early on in all their careers. So kudos to you, Anthony. You have street cred for having seen Kentucky Fried Movie first. That movie was like contraband to little kids in the 80s.
Oh, yeah. Great. And again, another great VHS cover with the the Chuck Taylor with the Statue of Liberty coming out. Oh gosh.
I don't think I can even find that on HBO.
You had to sell yourself in the 80s at the video store. You had to make it happen, people.
And you know something? People did it in ways that weren't whorish. They did it with fucking creativity and art and beautiful, beautiful art. I mean, video art. I mean, movies that cost $50 would have a $15,000 painting as the cover, because that's your one shot to be on a level playing field with everybody else. And it was
like books.
A lot of those.
I will argue.
I will argue
the cover.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I argue this, and I have this poster in my classroom. Look at the poster for DEFCON 4. All right, it's this terrible 80s sci-fi movie called DEFCON 4. The whole movie takes place inside basically a bomb shelter, and it's people talking. The whole movie, right? That cover, though, will make you want to watch this. Just go ahead, everybody listen at home. Go look up DEFCON 4. And I'm telling you, that is how you market a movie. The most boring movie on the planet.
For almost every Roger Corman movie or every Andy Sedaris movie. I mean, like Hard Hunted is one of the most gorgeous covers I've ever seen in my life. And it's for
Malibu
Express is beautiful. Oh my God. Oh, I wanted to be the dude in Malibu Express.
You are the dude in Malibu Express.
This is as close as I get to being that guy. Maybe one of these days I'll grow a really nice mustache like he does.
For a mashup, can you just put yourself on the Malibu Express guy, please? Let's just do that.
No disrespect to Malibu from American Gladiators, but this might need to happen. So interesting combo in the chat right now. Also, our good friends at Retro Fiend Radio, who are going to be with us on next week's VCR, says, you're so right. Airplane was on HBO around the clock in the 80s. The sequel as well. They didn't play R-rated movies until after dark then, so they just replayed the same flicks over and over. Which brings me to my first discovery of Airplane, which was also on HBO, which is not a shock to anyone here.
The first streaming network ever.
But yeah, right. But the way it happened was interesting because I think I was about 10, and one of my best friends at the time was a kid named Larry Hayek. And Larry, for his birthday party, his parents took us to a Holiday Inn that had a pool, and it was an indoor pool and all this shit. So it was a really cool, it's one of my favorite birthday parties growing up. And, waiting for the after hours HBO shit to come on that we didn't normally have at home. We were watching Airplane 1.
Sex.
Yeah, car wash and shit like that, right? But while we're waiting for those, we caught both Airplanes because these movies are attached at the hip. You don't have one without the other. It's the grumpy old men effect. You can't have just one. This movie's like a fucking Pringle.
Yeah.
I agree. True.
It's classic. And shout out to Larry Hayek because I know you're not watching.
Chris, Lay's says you can't just have one. Not Pringles.
Lay's. Oh, okay.
Lay's.
Well,
my God,
right. Once
these
you pop,
kids these days.
Once you pop, you can't lock and you can't stop, and you can't rock. Once you pop, you blow your
can't
top.
Stop. Damn it.
I'm not so good with the.
You've literally just made me rethink everything I do in life. That's literally what you just made that happen, Chris.
So also in the chat, Angie Saunders, my husband Mike watched on HBO. Eric Ridgway says, because this is what I do. It's an injury to Ian's head due to having manually inflate the autopilot.
Oh, yeah.
That's why he's smiling.
Again, a joke that none of us got watching it at 6 years old. But when you watch that later on, when you're 17, you go, ooh.
But that's the thing with these movies, they were one thing for us when we were younger, and then became a totally different thing when we got older. So it's but it's still at the core of it all, they're fantastic movies.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like you didn't have to get all the jokes, and you probably didn't get them all at one shot. It was
Oh, no, you
multiple
can't. It's
viewings,
impossible.
multiple viewings before you got something. Like I just watched this the other day, and I had forgotten the fact that like when the pilot is at the airport in one, and he's like taking like magazines off the racks and just like to see them. They have the one section. It's just called whacking material, and it's all the. And I'm like, oh my god, that's a freaking classic.
Like the dudes, like the announcers too, like, don't give me that white zone bullshit, Tina. Like,
The
you just
red
want me to have
zone
an
is for
abortion.
loading and unloading only. Listen, bitch, the green zone is.
and the Hare Krishnas or whatever like that, giving the flowers or whatever like that. Like,
I
you don't
my
get that
God.
anymore.
And
You don't
Larry's
get that
getting
anymore.
larger. No, sorry.
Nobody gets that anymore.
But that's the thing.
Yeah.
This movie is filled with. I mean, just like Caddyshack, we were talking about. This is like you can just walk into a room and quote Airplane,
Yeah.
and you will find a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, just do.
That's
I mean,
true.
I mean, one of those jokes I never got, until I really got older. When they start talking jive on the airplane, I
Oh,
mean,
my
it
God.
definitely a joke that hasn't aged well. We all know it.
Yeah.
There's a few jokes in this movie, but that I tell you, when I was in my 20s rewatching it and just dying laughing because they just hit a zeitgeist of such a moment at that, and it's just it hits on all radars.
When
right?
the older lady goes like, "Hey, blood, cut me some slack." I was like, "This is great." I think that is basically it's Pootie Tang. That's like an early version of Pootie Tang.
Oh yeah,
You know?
totally. Yeah, 100%. And Pootie Tang, one of my all-time favorite things that has ever happened.
Same here. Same here.
Lance Carruthers, Dirty D passed away not too long ago, and may he rest in
R.I.P.
peace because he's one of the fucking
R.I.P.
goat villains of all time. I'm bad, Dirty D. How you? I'm still dirty. Eric Ridgway in the chat also says, can we also point out the fact that the tabloids screwed up and initially published that Chevy Chase was the lead in the film, which is not something.
Really, I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't know that,
that.
Reggie. Oh, nice.
But I
Nice.
can
What was Robert Hayes in before this though? Because I didn't like for some reason like
Is he a soap star?
I only remember him for this, like nothing before and nothing after.
Oh, Robert Hayes? Oh, well,
Yeah.
Cat's Eye, of course.
Yeah, I forgot.
Oh,
about
yeah.
that.
He was in the TV series of Starman.
Yeah,
not-
that's
Paul
right.
Forrester.
Well,
And
there's-
let us not pass up the opportunity to shine some love on the Homeward fucking Bound franchise, which is goddamn glorious. The 90s version. I never saw the old one, so we should do a VCR on that at some point because it's never too old to have Michael J. Fox back in our lives doing voice acting. Although I will say the second Homeward Bound was not the same without Don Amici. So by this point, I think Shadow's a goner. So
He actually
Any rate,
is also the voice of Iron Man in Spider-Man, the animated series. And he was the voice
cool.
of Iron Man in the Iron Man TV series, animated. So,
All right, well then,
interesting.
way to go.
He had like an interesting kind of like presence. Like he was sort of in between Harrison Ford, like, Indiana Jones and Magnum PI a little bit, like just dead merge those two guys, you get Robert Hayes.
Yeah.
So it's
I
kinda
like the
not-
fact that
see him
in
doing
both
like an
movies,
Indiana Jones spoof.
yeah,
totally.
in both movies, he's basically wearing the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And Lone Star wears the same shit too.
Yeah.
Lone Star, those brown leather jackets were classic. I gotta get me one of those.
Well, let me ask: have any of you seen Airport or any of the Airport movies?
No, I
Yeah,
have
anyone in the
not.
chat. Also, something. Oh, well, anyone that also. I'm sorry.
Oh,
You were
yeah,
talking
no,
to
go ahead.
people in here, but I also want to throw that question at the people in the chat, and as well, since we're talking about all these great quotes, if you haven't already, please hit us with your favorite quote in the chat. But I'm sorry, Mickey, you were gonna say?
No, I'm I was just saying that I had not seen Airport.
Yeah,
Me
they're
neither.
they're
Yeah, I always
interest-
wanted to, never got around to it.
Yeah, they're interesting movies because, and why I also find them interesting is they reused a lot of like the crash footage and all this kind of stuff to, and it literally was just like this is a time where Universal was doing like Earthquake, and everything was a disaster, airport, earthquake.
They tried to do it again in the 90s when Independence Day was a hit. They were like, ooh, volcano, like, ooh.
Yeah, let's just destroy
Armageddon,
everything.
Ooh, Deep Impact,
Yeah. But if you think about it, it's genius because we've all, I would say a good chunk of us have probably been on an airplane before. And we've all seen the stories. We've all heard and so the whole idea is when you're up in the air and you're doing all this stuff, what chaos can go with it. And even in a comedy like Airplane, it still works, I think, actually. And that's why I think Airplane actually is probably an even better movie, is because of the scenario still works. What happens in the movie, the airplane pilot's all getting sick and they get poisoned. Can anybody fly this plane? Oh, well, one guy can fly it, but he has a panic attack every time he flies, and he has to overcome that journey. It's like somebody wrote a script for Airplane and it was serious. And the Zucker brothers were like, let's make fun of it though, but not change a word,
Well, I read how this all kind of got started. It's very interesting. Back in the time when like recording things off of TV was like kind of new and state of the art, of course, and like sort of complex, they used to record commercials all the time to like mine shit from. And one time they accidentally recorded the movie Airport. It was on TV. And that they said that this movie is structured so tight that they should just use it. And they actually had to acquire the rights to it, which was like $2,500 at the time. It was like all it cost because the movie had lost its value. It's been done to death. Airport 77, Airport Concord, blah 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 blah. So it only cost them $2,500 to get the rights to like sort of remake this movie essentially. And then they wrote it and no one would buy it. And then they did Kentucky Fried Movie because John Landis said it would help, and then it did. Then Airplane got made. So shout out to John Landis, without whom Airplane would never have come to life. Also, some talk in the chat I should touch on. Since we did talk about Andy Sidaris, Alex Bonafante says rip Julie Strain. Julie Strain is an absolute hero to me. I think she's on the Mount Rushmore of female action stars and B-movie stars. She's incredible. She was also worked with the Zucker brothers, the Naked Gun 33 1/3. She's the dominatrix. Dr. Rosenblatt, foreplay to aisle 4, please. Dr. Rosenblatt. Retrofit Radio. I'm sorry.
Oh, just when he goes. The best part about these movies is the sound effects. When he goes into the sperm bank room, and all of a sudden you hear horse noises. I'm done. I'm out.
like a saw.
Oh my god! I'm just out. I can't.
Incredible. Talk about a series that just builds and gets better and better. Also, our friends Retrofiend Radio in the chat say they tricked me into renting DEFCON 4. Alex Bonafante says Taxi Cab Confessions. And
the first season was great. After like the first season, like you got the feeling like it was so good that they were like kind of staging some things in the second season. Like this might not be true, but it was still entertaining to me.
Yeah, people were showing out for Taxi Cab. They were putting on their stories for sure. Anthony Ramirez also says Amazon Women on the Moon, another classic. The Arsenio.
Oh yeah.
The Arsenio Hall segment was amazing, and the Penthouse TV, of course. I'm not familiar with the Arsenio or the Penthouse portions of. It's been a minute. Amazon Women on the Moon. It's been more than a minute.
They just had a special edition on Blu-ray that came out. I got that has a whole story behind the making of it. It's fascinating.
Really.
Oh yeah, it's really good. But let me ask you this, guys: what is your favorite joke? Because I know what my favorite thing at Airplane. Like if it's on TV, I'll wait till this one joke and then turn it off, probably because I've seen it 1,000 times. But to me, it's the assume crash positions, and everybody gets up and just like it does like this little weird thing that they do. I'm sorry, that is the best joke of the entire movie. Like everything else, you can have shit hitting the fan and literally have shit hitting the fan. That's funny, but that is such an intellectual joke. I don't care what anybody says. That's just pure genius.
I actually missed which joke you were talking about because I had a phone call incoming on my laptop that was like ringing over half what you were saying. So what joke were you talking
Well,
about?
I guess you lost out, didn't you?
Hit me up in the chat and let me know what the fuck Ian's talking about.
I assume your crash positions, and everybody gets up like,
I think
the dumbest joke, but it's genius.
I don't know what it is. Like, I mean, there's a couple of things, but one of the things that like always gets me, it's so silly, but it's like it's when the stewardess takes the guitar and she wants to sing the song to the girl that's like, you know, and it's like so sweet. She's like, I like that. And then she starts singing the song, and then she unplugs the IV from the little girl, and the little girl's like, and everybody's all singing or like just like dancing along, whatever like that. They don't even recognize it. And then she finally gets the IV in, and then the stewardess does it again, and she's like literally like almost dying, and then the mom catches it. I don't know why. That just gets me all the time because that little girl's like expression. Because then I'm thinking like she needs a heart transplant, whatever. And then I still love like towards the end where, you know, Leslie Nielsen he goes in the cockpit and he's just like I just want to let you know you're doing a good job. And he goes back out.
Yeah.
And then he comes back in. Just want to let you know we're all rooting for you. And then it already landed, and he's like, I just want to let you know. I was like,
and I love Shatner does a similar joke in the second one, which is like great because it's different enough. It's not like annoying, you know, at that point. And I gotta say, I also love the trope of that, like, there's a problem in the cockpit. Like, what's that? It's a room at the front of the plane where the pilots are. Like, but that's not what matters now. Like, and they do that across both movies. It's brilliant. Brilliant.
Timmy, do you ever watch Gladiator movies?
You ever seen a grown man naked?
Naked.
I love Lloyd Bridges every once in a while. Guess I picked the wrong week to stop sniffing glue. Guess I picked the wrong week to stop smoking cigarette. Guess I stopped taking methamphetamine.
And again, another guy who had a whole second career because of what I call Zaz, Zucker Abrams and Zucker. You know, with Hot Shots, just absolutely
Hot Shots,
incredible.
When he's fighting Saddam Hussein in Hot Shots Part 2, there is that scene should have won an Oscar. I mean, you know, just your power's weak, old man.
But you tell me there were two crabs. They work in pairs.
Oh my God! When he gets the phone and it hits, you know, he hits the cordless phone and the little antenna just
just absolute brilliance.
I just need to interject here. I've been looking at the IMDb as well as the chat. That's why I'm looking away. People, I'm not being rude. But I just looked at the IMDb, and Otto has an IMDb listing on the page. Under Topcast, Otto as Otto.
Wow. That's incredible. That's just as meta as it gets.
Put together the IMDb page are like still cracking jokes.
And so like we haven't talked about the second one yet, but like
we should be talking about our sequel already. We haven't really gotten much from the second
favorite part of the second one. I mean, obviously they're going. It's in the space shuttle and they're going to the moon on this one, which is ridiculous in itself. But like,
it was a little weird.
But it's the girl that literally is just like, you know, I hate to do this, you know, I know this must be a little awkward, but you know, it's seen as we're gonna die or we're not gonna make it, you know. I've never been with a man before.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
The guy turns off the lights, and then like it keeps going. The gag keeps going, and there's a line. There's a line, and then at the end it's a horse.
Oh my God.
The horse and her have the cigarettes afterwards.
So goddamn good.
Airplane semicolon the sequel. I mean, nothing is better than that. Nothing is better than that.
I mean, the first one's better to me. Like I like the first one better, but the second one, had obviously had nudity in the second one. So as a kid, that's like yes, that's cool.
Oh, that's right, it did. That's why they
Yeah.
probably didn't show that one as much. I remember them showing Airplane a lot,
Yeah.
but they didn't show the sequel too often.
Yeah, and then you had Shatner in that one. You also had the cameo from Sandra Bergman at the end there, which is cool. And I'm like, so, and then I mean, but it was like a lot of the same gags as the first one.
Yeah,
You
I
know.
mean, it's pretty much like that's the thing with Airplane and sequel. I mean, it's really kind of you could mash them all up,
Ted.
and it's
Striker. We were over Macho Grande. Over Macho Grande, sir? Well, I don't think we'll ever be over Macho Grande. But he was at fault. He's the worst pilot ever. I wish he would just come down in a burning... They can hear you, sir. That's what I said there. I don't
And that's
remember.
it is Shatner really doing the Shatner. He is playing into it hard.
And the second one has the best line or one of the most memorable lines. It's striker. And the dude hit him. Dude punches the girl.
Roger,
So also-
Dave, huh?
Also, some talk in the chat. Our buddy Alex Bonafonte says, "How about the day after for a future episode?" Not a bad idea. We'll definitely put that one in the old think tank.
I did like that.
Andy Saunders with a quote: "Nervous? Yes, very. First time? No, I've been nervous lots of times."
There's so
our
much-
buddy
you gotta
Justin-
watch it like every week just to catch something new.
The second
Sure.
second one has the old lady, and he's telling the story again to the same old lady, and then he looks at her, and she's just like skeleton bones. She's died, like, and then she hangs herself. Like,
The first one or the second one where the guy's about to gas himself? Is that the first one?
the first one.
That's
when
the
he's
first
like,
one, right.
When he has the lighter, and he's like,
Yeah.
he throws the gasoline on
Yeah, and he
himself.
drops it, and he does blow himself up. So also in the chat, our buddy Dustin Nino, also from Retro Fiend Radio, says, "My favorite joke is the guy who tries to kill himself over and over because the story won't end." Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
funny.
Yeah,
We walked
yeah.
right into that. Yeah. Anthony Ramirez says, "I take my coffee black like my men," which is
Oh,
amazing
jeez.
coming from like that little girl. It's so good.
Yeah.
That's definitely one of my favorites too. Eric Ridgway says the whole dance scene is off the wall funny. Which,
Oh, yeah.
is great. One of the great dance scenes ever. And if you're mashup fans, look up Hell's Club on YouTube. That has about every dance scene ever mashed into one and edited together seamlessly. Also, Anthony Ramirez says, also, "Jimmy, do you like gladiator movies?"
That's
Zombie Roadkillers also say, "Which dramatic movie from the 50s did the Zucker brothers base Airplane on?" They basically took that movie and created Airplane from the scenes, adding jokes, of course. I think it was it not Airport? It may have been something else.
It was Airport.
I thought it was Airport, but
I think you joined us a little late. See, that's what happens when you get to class late.
Yeah.
We already answered that question. Sorry, I'm
Also,
going to be doing
Alex-
Shatner for a while.
Also in the chat, my Shatner's not as good as Kyle's. Alex Bonafonte also says, "Just
you did like Shatner, like Max Headroom. Like what was that?
Shatner is not as good as
Shatner.
Yes, you must have the mesquite chicken."
I just want to listen to Power of Noise.
I can't get that fucking video waiter from Back to the Future 2 out of my head now. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
our special
Welcome
of the day
to
is
Cafe
the
80s.
where it's always morning in America, even after noon.
no.
You must have the falafel. La, 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 la.
You must try hottest special.
No, what's
also-
funny is,
They just want a Pepsi.
I just want to know like who they got to do that, because now you know the Max Headroom secret is that was not digitized. That was real makeup
Right.
that they ended up doing. So who was Ronald
hand
Reagan?
animated backgrounds?
Yeah, who was Ronald Reagan? Who did that? I
I don't know.
Like,
It's in the credits. The guy who did Michael Jackson was like a kind of semi-famous Michael Jackson impersonator.
interesting.
So,
Okay.
I think he still is to this day. Because I mean, what do you know?
What else are you gonna do?
What else are you gonna get? Like, I mean, you're gonna put Michael J. Fox in a wig and have him be, Michael Jackson? Probably not.
Good
So
enough for that, trust me.
yeah, right, yeah. Yeah, Mom, I'm home, which is funny, you know, not to get way off rails, but the whole Daddy's Little Pumpkin thing comes from George being upside down, just having a view only of Michael's butt. So he came up, he ad-libbed, it's granddad's little pumpkin, which is classic. But anyway, getting back to Airplane and getting back to the chat, Alex Bonafante says just the sight of Hare Krishnas is a throwback to Miami in the 80s, and who the hell are those people? I'm not too familiar with 80s Miami, but I wish I was. Miami Vice.
You like cocaine?
No, I just like loungy floral T-shirts and you
cocaine.
know,
okay, I understand.
80s wristbands, and I like being around cocaine. It's like Mrs. Doubtfire and cigarettes. I don't ever want it to go in my system.
What?
But
the people who are
every now and then, dear, I just need to breathe in a little bit of secondhand cocaine, and it steals my wool.
It was a run by fruiting.
Even though I dress like a bad knockoff Scarface, I don't want anything to do with cocaine, unless it comes with free DeLoreans.
Like a knockoff Scarface. Good Lord.
Also in the chat, sorry, Alex Bonafante says
more like Boarface.
Boarface, Charface, or you know the below par face, yeah. So Alex Bonafante says,
"You're my hero, Chris."
Ian, let him get through the friggin' chat.
Let me read the chat, for Christ's sakes. I'll read it like Scrooge McDuck if I have to. Alex Bonafante says, Hot Shots Part 2. Slapstick critical right there.
Yep.
To which I'd have to agree. Now I can't shake this voice. Don't you see what you've done?
Scotty,
yeah, Hot Shots.
Can you fix the engines now?
Oh my God, Jesus. So what do? We someone gives us a stack of money. We're a little late on this. We should have started this 11 minutes ago. But hypothetically, someone gives you a stack of money and says, write me another Airplane movie. What do you do? Pop quiz, hotshot. What do you do?
Can I go?
Looks like we have a taker.
Go for it.
Please.
All right. So the first one was regular air travel. The second one was going through space. I think the third one, they should go through time.
Yeah.
They should end up with some kind of accident. They're on like a spacecraft, but it starts popping into different eras. And at one point, they even end up over Macho Grande. That would be like perfect.
Oh.
The ultimate closed loop of that airplane loop in the fucking poster art. That is just beautiful.
But, I don't know that we could necessarily have the same cast, but it would be cool if we
Robert
did.
Hayes could do it.
But when they finally stop jumping through time, they end up landing at a random airport and walking out and meeting the people from like the first Airplane. Ted Stryker's there, and all the people from Control come down. They'd have to do CGI, but they'd be like meeting the original Airplane cast. And even if they're the older Airplane cast, it would be like meeting themselves, but it would be awesome just to have that visual of, Ted Stryker meeting Ted Stryker. So I think it has to be through time. And, it could be bad fish again that causes the pilots to mess up and then cause a problem with the, hyperspace generator. And it starts popping them into different eras. And
the space-time continuum.
The tale of bad fish is as old as time. So that totally works. I just want to throw fucking barrels of cash at that because that is awesome. We need more time travel movies, and we need more time travel sequels, and we need more airplanes. And this kills a couple birds with one stone. So I'm all for it. I was actually thinking something very similar, but I'm curious. And as well, for you guys in the chat, let us know what your thoughts are on what an Airplane 3 should be. But also, Mickey and Ian, did you guys have any thoughts? Any hot takes?
I'll be honest, you guys. This was the hardest one that I think we've come across because for a couple reasons, and I'm taking it seriously. All right, if I'm really making this movie, the question is, can you do these movies anymore? Because remember, a few years back, we got the great. Maybe not great I'm already selling it short, but I remember we got like Vampire Sucks, epic movie, disaster movie with
scary
the Kardashian
movie,
scary
date movie, the spoof genre in general.
Yeah, it was, and it's like even that scary movie, the first few were totally different than when the Zuckers came in and made it into an airplane movie again. Can you do those today? I think that's the hardest thing. Our audience is now gonna buy making fun of these things because really what introduced this is Blazing Saddles, right? Blazing Saddles is what really brought us into this. Yes, now we're gonna make fun of these worlds. We're gonna make fun of this movie, like I said, Airport, great movie. Then they started making all these sequels, and that's when it was like these are getting ridiculous, and that was the whole point. When something gets so ridiculous, what do? You make fun of it. Well, so the only thing that I have thought of when it comes to this is what would be the newest thing, and that's literally the traveling into space thing that's happened. The billionaires getting a flight that already did it. Now, granted, the sequel already said this, so I was like, well, that doesn't work now. And so I'll be honest, you guys, this is the first time on this show that I think I've been stumped as to could you do a sequel? And to be honest, the other biggest thing is you don't have Leslie Nielsen. We lost probably what made this movie for almost everybody is that glue that got created in this first one. That he, like I said, he went to scary movies. He popped in as the president. Yeah. If you do a movie like this, it has to have Leslie Nielsen.
Well, it's not going to have Leslie Nielsen. It's not going to have Lloyd Bridges
and stuff.
But I have to interject, and I'm sorry if I'm cutting you off there, Mickey.
No,
I think
go ahead.
I think you absolutely can still do one of these movies. It's just you're not doing it the same way. Because what is Airplane at its heart? It's like a fucking variety show of comedy. It's a tour de force. It's like the story's kind of loose, it's from an old ass movie. It's not really that important, just to like keep things moving forward, literally. So you can just keep these jokes coming and coming and coming at the speed of sound. So I think you absolutely can, but you don't do it as much parody. Like, the old Airplanes were probably about 50% parody and 50% just like oddball original humor. And I think now you have to go about 95% oddball original humor and 5% like specific parody. Like, I don't think people want to see like, oh, cool, they did a Matrix thing, and they did a 20,000 feet Twilight Zone thing, and they're like, no, that part is just, it's too saturated, like you said. But I think if you kind of take a little bit of what Kyle was saying too, with the idea of going through time, that gives you different eras. Different eras gives you the opportunity to have this be kind of return to the variety show format a little bit. You could have like 4 different time zones, and each one is shot by a different director, or like a different, get great comedic writers and great comedic actors that can do comedy with a straight face. Everyone that's involved with like the David Wayne, Wet Hot American Summer crew, Michael Showalter, Michael Ian Black, Janine Garofalo, David Hyde Pierce, like, there are great actors that can do comedy. Get like Liam Neeson to be like the Lloyd. There's a lot of people that even their seriousness is hilarious.
That is what we're missing.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. We're missing Liam Neeson being made fun of, and to get Liam Neeson in the Leslie Nielsen role, but it'll kill it. It'll kill it because
the Lloyd Bridges role. Or you get Christoph Waltz in the Lloyd Bridges role. Get fucking ace actors to just kill comedy with a straight face. I'm telling you, it's timeless. It'll never go away. Like the Naked Gun scene where they're trading money. Like, oh yeah, you remember now? Like, oh, why should I tell you? Like, spot you 50? Okay, here you go. Like,
yeah.
That shit.
But I almost feel like that would
I have a particular set of skills, and don't call me Shirley.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's perfect. Right? That's perfect.
I think you and Kyle have it down. I mean, but I almost feel like in today's, like Ian said, like, I don't know if it would work today. To be honest, I think what they would eventually do is not a sequel. It would be a straight out reboot. It would be and as lame as that is, but I just feel like that's what they would do with it if they were to do anything with this franchise. And I don't think and to be honest, there's only in my opinion, like I know you mentioned a lot of good writers and actors and stuff like that could do something like that, but like the Wayans brothers were like the best at doing this for a while, and I almost feel like if they were to do it, I mean, you
could have them
Soul Plane is a little bit of like an airplane movie, like Soul Plane is probably the closest you're gonna get.
Why not get Damon Wayans and
Of
David
all
Wayans
the
and
movies to
Judd
ever
Apatow
address-
and somebody else?
You like it, Ian. You like it.
We just
You
lost
like it.
half. We just lost half our audience because you mentioned Soul Plane. Good God.
No, but what you need is the jokes need to be addressing the things that are happening today. Like
Bingo.
someone shows up,
Yeah.
wearing a mask. Sir, if you'd like, you can take off your mask. And he takes it off, and there's another one underneath. And it just does that like the whole movie. He's still taking off masks, and they're like piling up next to him. That's the kind of humor that would fit into
Yeah,
Airplane, but address things today. So
Exactly. As long as there's pop culture, there's things to make fun of. It's why Weird Al will never go away.
Yeah.
As long as there's hit records, hit music, then Weird Al will make fun of it. And that's kind of like what Airplane does. It doesn't, we don't have to make fun of like pop culture in the same way. It's just all movies. There's so much, it's just part of like our cultural zeitgeist. It's really more, cultural than even pop culture. There's just so many things about America right now that are fucking hilariously stupid or hilariously idiotic or hilariously awkward.
I do know there.
Go ahead, Ian.
I was just gonna say, I know there would be a moment where there would be snakes on a plane, and if you could get Liam Neeson to say, "I want these mother effing snakes off this mother effing plane" in that Taken voice, that is pure genius.
I want these motherfucking snakes off this.
You know who else? You know who else would kill is like a serious guy doing comedy that we've never seen, or at least we haven't seen for a long fucking time. Lawrence Fishburne in like the Lloyd Bridges role. This is just coming to me now.
Well, I almost feel like you could do, if you wanted to bring back Robert Hayes, Stryker. I feel like that's what he would be doing now.
You could bring back Robert Stack.
He would. Yeah, you could totally bring Robert Stack.
But he got handled.
Robert Stack's still alive.
Robert Stack's still alive. Yeah, Robert Stack, I think is still
good
alive.
for him. Good
what
for
I'm
him.
thinking with the
I don't know about
time
Peter
travel angle, you could have things like they go back to, and it's suddenly black and white, and William Shatner is on a window seat, and he's like, "There's something on the wing of the plane." You could spoof
that would
all
be
kinds
good.
of
Yeah.
stuff. Just with the time travel skipping through.
Oh my
It'd be a
gosh,
nice wink to Richard
land,
Donner too.
They land on they land with the Wright brothers. All of a sudden it's just like popping in the Wright brothers airplane and stuff, and you get those.
Or someone's reading. The Wright brothers had these. Rivals for first airplane, and some say that they, had actually taken off first, and you see this other, we're gonna beat the Wright brothers, and then the plane comes by and like smashes them out of the air. No one knows what happened.
That would be good.
Yeah, see, some intellectual shit, some history, some smart stuff. I love that. So I do want to touch on the chat a bit because I've kind of ignored it for a sec here. Alex Bonafonte says, considering how the air travel archetypes and issues have changed over time, I think a streaming sitcom is better than a slapstick movie sequel. Interesting. We do that a lot. We say, oh, let's expand it and go streaming service or, streaming shows. So this is something we're trying to avoid doing every time, as opposed to like, getting a good take on something. But I would watch it. I would watch it.
We did have something like that, but it was like
Stack is dead. And
Robert Stack.
Oh, my mistake. Well,
he died in 2003. So
there you go.
For 18 years.
Bring the old bones over here. And,
but I'll never forget him as Ultra Magnus in Transformers the movie.
Angie, also in the chat, Angie Saunders says cocaine is the best. Shout out to cocaine, Angie.
That's not the drug they're making legal, Angie. You can talk about weed now, but the cops see that they might be knocking on your door.
Yeah.
Also,
please say no to drugs.
Also, Alex Bonafonte says something like Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt really turns serious issues into silly tension-based humor. I'm not familiar, but I've heard nothing.
I've seen that show. Yeah.
Also in the chat, Dustin Nino says, since Leslie Nielsen is gone, Stiles' accent inspired me to want to see Billy Connolly in the sequel. Again, apologize for my terrible Shatner.
Billy Connolly has not gotten the respect he does deserve. All right,
I love Billy.
Just watch Muppet Treasure Island, and you will understand the power of that man.
There's actually another like Billy Connolly movie that I love, and it's called Still Crazy, that nobody knows about. It's about an old rock group and they get back together. It's classic.
I don't think I ever saw Muppet Treasure Island or Still Crazy. No? Interesting, yeah. Hit me. I'm not too familiar with Billy Connolly off the top of my head, to tell you the truth. So
he had his own show for a while too.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Like a TV show.
Also in the chat, Andrew Saunders says Mel Brooks was the king of spoof movies. You will have no arguments there. Chris Pratt would be good as a lead. That actually would be quite interesting.
Or of course, Ryan Reynolds.
James Gunn could be hilarious too as directing one of the segments.
Oh, wait until you guys see the Suicide Squad. I just saw it this past Monday, and it doesn't take itself too seriously. I think you'll enjoy it.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
I love everything James Gunn touches is gold.
Same here.
He's the guy right now to me. He's just amazing. And he got his start over at Troma. Our good friends Uncle Lloyd and Tromaville, Tromeo and Juliet. So
my favorite.
Start small. You never know where it could lead. Also in the chat, how relatable are folks that can afford space travel, says Alex Bonafonte. Good question. It is something to parody though, and I think Ian, you touched on it, and that would be a good little one joke in there. You make fun of these fucking billionaires, we gotta make room on the plane. We gotta lose weight, and they just look at like Bezos and Branson or whatever and push their asses out into space,
out the windows,
or out into the circuits of time.
You could get I think you can get Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban probably would do the movie. So if you wanted a billionaire or a millionaire or whatever like that, you could get Mark Cuban. I'm sure.
Especially if you put someone from the Dallas Mavericks in the movie, then he'd absolutely do it. So shout out Luka Doncic. I know you're watching, buddy. You're welcome to come on the show anytime.
He's busy in the Olympics right now, but
in our time travel, thing, at one point they pop in, and there's a giant dildo-shaped rocket coming up, and it just kind of knocks it off course, and it explodes with Bezos inside. So
yes, I'm so all for that. And what's the other guy? Richard Branson, right? He's the other, or is it?
Yeah, Branson.
Space Cowboys out there right now.
Space Cowboys.
I have to make that as a mashup with Bezos and Branson. Space Cowboys. I
mean, is it really a coincidence that Jeff Bezos looks like Lex Luthor, the greatest criminal genius of our time? He's got the same hairstyle.
Interesting you would mention Lex Luthor. The geek in me just has to let the people at home know that Smallville, the complete series, has recently been announced for Blu-ray. I texted Kyle because he's the only person I know personally that would care, but maybe one of you out there. Yeah, it's coming. Smallville, all 10 seasons on Blu-ray.
God.
So
only
fingers
the last
crossed.
3 were done
and
in Blu-ray.
The 4K edition of Transformers the movie, because we have to talk
From
about
86.
the 86 Transformers the movie, which starred
real
Robert
movie.
Stack, so we're bringing it back.
Yeah,
let's handle that now. So but
nice.
Talk about Stack. Talk about Stack to the future, right there. That's just incredible.
Well, it's just like Christmas.
I hate you, Chris.
Everybody hates me, Ian. It's okay. No one hates me more than
everybody hates Chris.
They should have named me Raymond. God damn it! I sure dress like a Raymond. There's some love in the chat for Robert Stack, who is dead. Confirms Retrofiend Radio. And also some talk of the Phantom Thread. Snakes on a plane, airplane, all kinds of stuff. So we are just about out of time.
Soul Plane.
I think
that's a good movie. That's a good flick.
Soul Plane's a quality flick. So I think we're just about out of time. Is there anything, Kyle, coming up on Fandom Spotlight you want to let the people know about?
Well, apparently there's some special episode next week of VCR Redux.
Yes, that's right. I was just about to get to
I'll let you talk about that, but this it's con season, so you're going to be seeing a lot of panels coming from Fandom Spotlight. We're going to be hitting Terrificon. If you happen to be up in the Connecticut area this weekend, there's a great con called Terrificon. You'll want to hit that, and we'll be recording and publishing panels from that wonderful show. August is like full. We got Steel City. We've got Awesome Con. And then beginning of the next month, or not next month, beginning of September, I'm already in August. We actually have Dragon Con, so who knows what might happen down there. What happens at Dragon Con never stays at Dragon Con, so. But yeah, and in August, the Governor Reacts returns. And it's a bit of a change. We're not going to give it away, are we, guys? But there will be a bit of a change for the Governor Reacts, and I think you'll like it. In fact, there may be a preview coming out very soon, like tomorrow.
Ooh.
Like tomorrow, we're going to release the Governor Reacts to the 11A trailer, and hoping we can preview something. It really depends on overnight shipping, but we're hoping that we can preview something that will give you a hint of what is coming for the Governor Reacts. I wouldn't call it season 11 because it hasn't been on for 11 seasons, but coverage of season 11. So some neat shit.
Very cool. We are all awaiting that with bated breath.
Alex
Mickey,
Boniface wants to say the Governor Reacts at Dawson's Creek. I don't want to wait.
For our lives to be over.
Oh my God, that should have been the theme song to Walking Dead, because that's really poignant if you think about it.
At least
Mickey, anything going on in the pipeline with you? Rick Barth and the Line getting any closer to shows, or?
Not right now. Right now, it's still on the low.
Well, you're still so fine. You still blow my mind every time you're on the show. So thank you to both you dudes for coming on. And as Kyle was teasing, I do want to let the people at home know, tune in next Wednesday night at 9 p.m. as we are joined by our good friend, Mr. Christian Smock of Retro Fiend Radio, and world-renowned martial arts legend, Stephen Lambert. Christian and Stephen will be taking us on a blast to the past as we talk Time Cop, which Stephen was involved with on both sides of the lens. The timeline depends on you tuning in, so don't miss out. And in the meantime,
damage.
That's right. The Van Damage is going to be real.
That's right.
But until then, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow Fandom Spotlight, Rick Barth and the Line, the Hollow Knight Network, and of course, Pop Culture Punk. Till then, back up those Betamax, rewind those laser discs, and we will see you at the movies.